we'll make sure that is working. Because I've been messing around with Facebook and they just been slamming me. I don't know why. They just slamming me, but I got it covered. I got it covered because now I got things together that we are on Twitch. I'm doing live feed now on YouTube. I got that together. So I'm
That's
trying to
great.
cover everything. Of course, Facebook too, but I got some more platforms like Fanbase. I uploaded some videos on Fanbase last night, and I'm a little biased. I made sure I upload the Impact Hour first so everybody can start seeing that and start generating some traction. Yeah. I do things like that all because I can. So let me get our video in there and let me make sure everything is okay. So I think everything is fine. So without further ado, good morning, Joseph.
Konnichiwa. Good morning.
Oh man, did you hear we're gonna be at 50 degrees come Monday?
Can't believe it, man. I mean, that's outstanding for San Antonio. Y'all got scorched, and now y'all get to cool off a little bit.
Oh man, you ain't kidding. I apologize for my camera. I don't know what's going on with it, but at least I'm not a silhouette. But
Yeah, I thought you. Yeah, I'm glad you're not a silhouette either, man. That's definitely not what you want to be. But we need to get you a light in the front. See, I
see,
may not have the MacGyver skills, but I can light up a room. See there. Oh, there you go. Now we can see you.
I got to put
Uh,
this light up
so,
here. So
right.
what it was when I left the studio yesterday, I didn't bring my other camera. I keep with me for home, and I'm
See,
broadcasting
you
from
moving
from
around.
I'm broadcasting from the house today, which I have to put in my budget to get another camera here at the house to keep and don't keep on taking one from the studio bringing it here because one day I'll forget that at the studio. Well, anyway, I got enough cameras at the studio to keep me going, but that's all right. We're all here. I know that we touched base on church hurt. I had a lot of people asking about that, and I edited and
Mhm.
everything. It's on. It was on Facebook. For some reason, Facebook don't want that to play all the time. So that's what I reached out to other platforms because I think we hurt a lot of people's feelings. As they say, the,
Well,
the truth hurts.
the truth hurts. It's funny because I just talked to Craig. Shout out to the Impact team, to Mara Spears, to Jock, to Tomas Henderson, to Sean C, to Martha Rice, who's on here doing great things. But I did talk to Craig, and before I get into that, well, I did talk to Craig, and we're going to be getting Craig back on here to go further into church hurt and to talk about some clinical things too. But he's got some more content that we want to get out there because he's getting some feedback, and we're getting feedback about that as well. But it's definitely an issue that we need to discuss. And we've got our beautiful sister Veronica Brooks, her book "A Warrior Within," that
Yeah.
talks about a horrific case of church hurt. And there are so many situations. And in one of these shows, we're going to start giving some other examples. We talked about an example of a church that we're not going to name in the Grand Rapids area, the northeast side of Grand Rapids, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
that really had some serious church hurt issues going on that had been exposed over COVID. We talked about that. A lot of churches got exposed during COVID. In terms of crooked things coming out, financial things, but there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
It's really a big picture. So we're going to get into that more. But before we get into that, man, congratulations. I know that you were honored with a Community Legend Award. So congratulations
Thank you.
on that
Thank you.
hard work that you're putting in the community. Congratulations on that. And definitely, was proud to see you get that over this past weekend. So WSN Radio is doing big things internationally. So definitely within the community of San Antonio and
Yes, we
and
are.
around the San Antonio, greater San Antonio area. So congratulations on that. Well deserved.
Oh, thank you.
Well
Thank
deserved.
you. I was not expecting it. I'll be honest with you because I was told to bring my camera and take pictures. And then when I turned around, when they announced my name, my wife, she looked at me. Veronica looked at me. There was a blank look on my face, and all Veronica said, "I got you." But I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for it, and I think 100% of the people who was awarded was not looking for that either. One guy said, "I never got an award before for anything." So just to let
Wow.
everybody know, people are out there watching, seeing the good that you're doing.
That's right. That's right. So, I've been talking about it for a while, and how much I've seen you do. And, we've been talking every week, sometimes a few times a week. So I know what you do. But
Yeah,
it's good that you get recognized, and continue to keep doing what you're doing. Because things like church hurt, and we'll be bringing some other issues on, as well, dealing with mental health issues, societal, issues that need to be addressed,
yeah,
from a mental health perspective, and whatnot. So we've got one today that I hope that we can get into a little bit, but depending on how things go, and how things flow,
yeah,
we'll address it. But we got some workshops that we're putting together, working on. Gotten some calls about getting out here and doing some things. So we're gonna get that going. Shout out to Capital League and the Guide Right program. We're gonna be getting some things together, so we can start working with the youth. A lot of the fraternities, the Divine Nine, is getting
yeah,
out there and doing some mentorship work out there. So we'll let people know about that, and getting some help out there, some mentorship opportunities, because we've got this attack on our history.
yeah,
Some people want to call it critical race history. I just call it history. And we're gonna, as they try to pull our history out of schools and pull our perspective out of schools, we're going to make sure that our kids are infused with the facts and the history as we see it. And we've got master's level, PhD level folk that can disseminate our history with research and facts. And
right,
that's going to tie into kind of what we're going to talk about today a little bit, about this issue that's going on. And one of the magazines I read, which finally made its way over to Okinawa, Japan, is Psychology Today. So I don't know if anybody can see that. I don't know if
yeah,
my camera's going to. Well, I see that picture of that lady on there, but that's not
yeah.
what I'm showing. That's the background. So I'm trying to show is not, why is it just showing that lady instead of showing the book? Anyway, I'm gonna
I
have to
don't
do some
know.
of this filter. It's showing some lady. That's the back of the book, but that's an ad. But Psychology Today is that. See, there it goes. Yeah, I can see a little bit of it. Anyway, Psychology Today, and they had an excellent article. I do a lot of reading on psychological issues, things that are going on, trends, and the research, current research. And one of the things that has come up is something we kind of touched on, but it was really laid out beautifully in this issue of Psychology Today, with this authenticity in the artificial world, right? And what artificial world are we talking about? We're talking about the artificial world of social media, some of the artificial things that happen in the media, but more importantly, and more directly in social media. And this fake, it's called, people call it fake news, right?
Yeah,
And we know who called the news fake news, right? But
right,
what actually happened was gaslighting. With a lot of times, it was the actual news that was out there, but they were calling it fake news because they wanted to infuse you with artificial things. And a lot of that stuff is coming out now, but there's a psychological phenomenon that's going on where people are starting to live in this artificial, reality with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. And it's good. That's why I love this platform, because we can kind of counter some of that with facts. We can counter that with reality. And just like we talked about, I think it was the last show, how you deal with a cult, or how you
yes,
deal with that are being misled, and whatnot, is you have to get them a dose of reality. And that's what the article starts on to talk about. Let's get real. And we're going to read, and the article is by Dr. Grant Hillary Brenner. So, we got some scientific approaches here. This is not just something that Mr. Lee or therapist Lee is talking about. This is, some scientific methods. But it said, and I'm going to read this specifically. It says, as the lines between real and fake blur,
Americans increasingly chase the idea of authenticity. The first step may be to consider self-knowledge. We're going to talk about that, truthfulness, and other building blocks on the road to personal growth. And I'll even like to say even awareness, right? And awareness. So this article is long. I'm not going to go through all of it, but there's a couple of things I want to tease out on there where it says cultivating a substantive, substantive self. It said it is possible to have authentic experience in dealing with, the artificial world of Facebook and Instagram and all that. But the first thing you have to do is actually pull away from social media, pull away from all of the news spins and all that, and spend some time with yourself, figure out what's important directly to you, not to all your friends, not to all your social media buddies, not to all your social media circles that aren't even real people. These are people that are putting things out there on social media that sometimes aren't researched, aren't, sometimes well-read, aren't credible sources. And then they create this groupthink mentality. You have to pull yourself out of that, become self-aware, spend some time, solitude, and kind of, think about what's really going on that's important to you. What goals do you have? Where do you want to see the country go? Not based on what people are telling you, but what you experience, what you feel, and what you understand. And that's one of the things that people, when you do that, you kind of create, as they say in the article, a judgment-free zone where you can just reflect and think. I've told people on my YouTube channel, I've talked to you about it. I love to go and just reflect, looking at the water, looking at the East China Sea, the ocean, and you need to spend that quiet time to kind of think about things and process things, and also just kind of let some of these things die down that you're so focused and inundated on. Because when you focus on it, you can become distorted, and you can actually start to fixate. And when you fixate on something so much, it kind of gets out of proportion. And there's a lot of things going on right now. I don't have to tell you that. There's a lot of things going on right now that you can get lost in. We've got the situation in Israel, and we've got and Gaza. We've got the presidential mess that's going on. We've got people testifying. We got people, pleading guilty. We got all this stuff going on, and you can just get lost in it. And then the question is, where are you at in all this? How does it make you feel in dealing with, all this stuff, and what are your goals in all this? Where are your objectives, your family plan, or are you just lost in all the current trends and things that are going on and going down those rabbit holes that happen in social media? And that's actually discussed in here too, where there's a lady on here they talk about that her name is Helena, and she restricts her social media use to only 45 minutes a day, no more than 45 minutes a day. And she asked her roommate to create a passcode that she has no way of getting to staying on there past a certain time. So they set a certain amount of time. She connects with her friends, takes a look at the current things that are going on, and then she gets away from it. Because what she said, and here's the important part, I'm not just spending mindless moments looking at other people. I don't have to fight a battle within myself that was created by others for me. Thought that was pretty powerful. That's how that group thing happens. When we started talking about it, I started thinking, like, how did all these people get so brainwashed? Well, they're looking at realities created by other people and then applying them to themselves instead of thinking for themselves, what is the reality that I know is going on? What are the facts that I can tease out of situations, and then creating my own view or perspective of that. And that's part of the issue.
Yeah, you got a good point there because a few years ago, there's one lady's going to commit suicide because she put something on there and she didn't get 100 likes. But get this, but got over 1,000 friends, and she didn't get 100 likes. So that means you got to start excluding some of your friends or get. Now, I'm with you. Some days when I get off the radio, I don't bother to look at Facebook or any of that because I'm sort of done. because I'll do the same thing. I start looking at things in there, and I get on things, and my true friends, y'all see I like this, make comment on that. But sometimes you have a tendency of going down those rabbit holes, and 15 minutes turns into 2 hours.
Yeah. And the part of the dangers of the rabbit hole is you're just looking at information that's not vetted. And sometimes valid information gets mixed in with just, nonsense. And if you're not careful, that'll start influencing your thought process. And I've been a victim of it. I remember I was talking to one of my fraternity brothers who was a detective in the Midwest area, and he was like, Joe, he said, 'cause I was hot, man. Something had happened to somebody in the inner city, and it seemed like the police had, done something wrong again. And I was like, we got to stop this. We got to get to mobilize. And he said, okay, maybe, but why don't you wait until the ballistic reports come out? And I said, okay, I was like, in my mind, I'm like, it's too late, man. We gotta,
Yeah.
we need to go now. We need to, who knows when that's going. He said, listen, I'll never forget what he told me. He said, every time I show up on the scene, people lie to me. Like everybody that talks to him lies to him. So after a while, you develop this skepticism, and you want to find, like, Dick Tracy. Yeah, I think that was Dick Tracy said, just the facts, man.
That was Friday from Dragnet.
Dragnet. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm mixing up some for Dragnet. You got to know. I know you know that stuff, man. You're a little older than me.
I knew that's gonna happen.
But anyway, so just the facts, man. And we have to stick, and that's kind of true to this too. We got to stick to just the facts, in understanding and processing this world, because a lot of these things we don't know. The situation overseas is complicated. What I don't like is anytime babies are getting killed, people are getting killed on both sides. It's disgusting, because these are innocent people that are caught up in the politics and the mess of governments, and be it terrorist-led governments or more structured forms of governments. Look, when a bomb blows up a building, or when people take the lives of kids, it's just death. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to cause trauma. It's going to cause generational effects. And that's what I'm looking at, is that, we have to look at, this thing from a humanistic approach. And I'm not going to jump into the political side, of what's going on over in Israel. I'm not going to do it. I just hope that we can get to a point where we don't continue to spiral down into a pit. And I heard one of the commentators say something really powerful. He said, even in war, you have to create a space where you're not consumed with rage, and you lose that humanistic side. Even if people do horrific things to you, it's not. And what he's saying is, you don't respond,
Right.
but you don't get consumed by it. You don't get consumed by hate. You don't get consumed by rage. And I think that's some good advice. We can't get consumed by things, especially that are beyond our control. But when you see some of this stuff, on the news and social media, I have to admit, I know how to compartmentalize. And when they say graphic images, that's when I cut it off.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see the horrific things that are going on. And then they're saying that, Hezbollah, those folks were hocked up on drugs when they were doing some of the things they were doing. They said they were using poor man's cocaine, which we know is crack, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And they were doing these horrific things. Now they're trying to do some other things to try to make it seem like they're being more legitimate, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to get into the politics of that horrific situation. Both sides of war are bad. I mean, I think the song says it best. A war. What is that? War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Exactly.
I mean, what we got to figure out is how to humanize people to each side and whatever they're fighting for, each side, we've got to figure out a way to keep people alive that are innocent
Right.
to this mess. So that's what I'm hoping we're going to do. And I know that, here I'm a veteran, so I know that sometimes peace comes through violence. I already know that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to hope that your side is the legitimate side and dealing with what's going on. And, all I'm looking at from a therapeutic standpoint is we need healing. And we got to get to that point where we pull aside the politics and get to the humanistic side of healing. And that's what I want to see. So people need to do it this commentator's name. I think it was on ABC News. I saw it where the man said, and I think he was from the Israeli side. He said, yes, all these things were horrific and hellacious, but in our response, we have to remember to remain human and not get consumed. So that's what this is about, and even this article here, not getting consumed with social media and things that are not real. This image that on this phone is just an image.
Yes.
And anytime, you put an image out there, it's staged. This isn't, a real, like we're looking at images now. I've got my background back here. You've got your background back there. So we're authentically talking, but even this is arranged. And I think we're trying to be as authentic as possible with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But let's just be true with this. I think our advantage is we try to, as they say, keep it real as best we possibly can from a mental health standpoint, from our political view standpoint. And we're not sensationalists in terms of, we got to come with the newest, greatest thing. We don't have to do that. We just reflect on what we see and how we process and navigate. Whereas some of these news channels, they got to get the information out first. And when you try to get the information out first, you're going to make mistakes.
Exactly.
Or you're going to make mistakes. And social media has no filter. I mean, they block us somehow. But in terms of, the validity of what's going on, people that are telling the truth and people that are telling stories, I think, now that's not true. I think Facebook and some of these other places, if you say something that's not true, they started putting some filters saying that this has not been validated or this has not been, proven or whatever.
Right.
But I don't think they care. And I know YouTube and some of the other social media sites, I'm not sure that they do that, So what we have to do is educate ourselves and try to find out, what's really going on in terms of what's real with ourselves. Get out there, and I know that it's hard to find things in print, but it's out there. It's like this right here, Psychology Today. It's in print, right? And I can find out the author who wrote this article. It's scientifically based. You know what I'm saying? It's not somebody that thinks, hey, this sounds good. This is some good sound bites. No, I'm gonna give you some facts. I'm gonna give you some scientific things that you can go look at. And this is a problem. If it's in this magazine, it's because psychiatrists, therapists, psychologists are dealing with this issue. And I can tell you right now, I know I've dealt with it a lot. Anytime I put a child or a young adult in the hospital for suicidal ideation, social media has been connected to it.
Right.
In one form or another.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask,
you got to understand.
Yeah, I got a question for you. And this question is on me. Nobody sent this
What's
in.
that?
Is there such thing as mental health hurt? I'm thinking about that because what's going on right now in Israel is affecting over here. And just like church hurt, is there a mental health hurt?
I need you to explain that to me a little bit more. But what do you mean by mental health hurt?
Like, all right, you're already mentally, something's wrong with you mentally. and situations happen
Mhm.
like this over in Israel and stuff, it's reflecting back over here on people here who are hurt by what happened over there. And they can't understand the mental health hurt part of it. I'm just saying that some people just plain hurt. And it's almost like they want to say it's not a mental health deal. They're just hurt about it, but it leads to mental health, if I'm making any sense.
I need you to clarify it a little bit more. I think what you define, you got me now, man. I don't know what you, so I think you're talking about trauma. Are you talking about the
Yeah,
things that are happening over in
yeah,
the Middle East? I think you're talking about trauma. And believe it or not, trauma, and you can look this up, PTSD. A lot of people think you have to be the person that the trauma happens to directly, to have PTSD, meaning that you have to be the one being shot at, or you have to be the one that was assaulted to the point where you thought you were going to die, or some traumatic event happened directly to you. But that's not true. You can actually get PTSD by being around and witnessing someone that was traumatized, or watching, being close enough to a situation where you have seen people be traumatized and bad things happen. So, in that sense, yeah, trauma can happen by association, depending on how close you are to that situation, how you can process and compartmentalize. That's why therapists have a really hard job. Some law enforcement have a very hard job, because they have to go into a situation where trauma is taking place or has taken place, and they have to compartmentalize, shield themselves from it, help people that are in that situation to begin the healing process, and then remove themselves from it, and then get their healing, together, and take care of themselves and do self-care. So, the short answer to your question is yes, people can be traumatized by what's happening in other areas, especially if they're constantly watching the news and watching these horrific situations. Look, I'm gonna give you an example of this. When me or you were younger, we could sit and watch the news with our parents.
yeah.
We could watch the news. They did, and I cannot remember, but maybe on a couple of occasions where there was something that came across the news where it said, and I don't even think it was when I was younger. I don't think it was in the time that I can remember where it said this images are so graphic that you may want to, not have your children watch it, or whatever the case may be. I don't think that happened back in our generation, when we were younger. But now I can't even watch the news with my daughter, without having a backup, so that in case I have to cut it off and then just watch it myself, just so I know what's going on. So you got to think about that. If the news is that graphic, where it has to be a warning for you to watch it, if you're watching it, what type of psychological effects do you think is happening on? Because we're not talking about a video game. This stuff really is going on. I mean, they're showing actual crime scenes over in, Israel. They're showing actual scenes, and they're walking through with police officers saying, well, this is where this person was shot. This is where they were killed. This is where, and it's like, God, there's no filter.
Hey, you're right. There's no filter overseas. Over United States, there's filter on it. At least they warn us.
Sometimes the filter is getting less and less. I've seen stuff, and then now I watch a lot of the news channels, and they're always talking about, like ABC. I put them out there, they every time I turn ABC on during the day, and maybe it's in the evening because 14 hours, I don't know, it's a little different time zone
Yeah.
going on. But every time I cut it on, they're talking about a serial killer. Talking about somebody's baby got snatched or kidnapped. Then you go from that to actual crimes where people's babies are getting killed and snatched in the real world today. So it's like,
Yeah.
you gotta understand something. We just came through and are still coming through the remnants of a pandemic And we can say that there are some mental illness that happen. People have mental illness. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
have mental illness. So if you already are struggling with things, then you're watching all this stuff on the news, could you be traumatizing yourself? I think there's going to be a lot of evidence to say yes. And then, you got the instability of, what's going on in the government and what's going on with that. So yeah, I
Right.
think you have to go back to what this article says, and pull back from social media or the media and have some time to yourself to process. Now, what the Christian takeaway, or those that have spiritual beliefs, is that you've got to put some things, give some things over to God.
Right.
I mean, ain't no sense in, like, when I was going through that typhoon. There's no sense in me worried about this typhoon. I can have faith that the Lord is going to cover me. I'll say, Jesus, anytime you want to say be still, feel free, because I tried it a couple times and it didn't, it didn't still it all the way. It didn't calm it all the way down. It's still, it maybe went from 150 to 120. I don't know the wind, but it didn't. So I gotta get that anointing where I can just say be still. I don't know. Maybe the Lord will bless me with that one day. But the joke is, and the point is, there's some things that are beyond our control, but we gotta know to let that go
What's the old
and
saying?
not worry about everything that we can't control.
Yeah. What's the old saying? I always, when I was teaching, I would tell all the students, control the controllables. That's all you can do, because some things you can't control, especially if you're a control freak. Now, I've seen people break down being a control freak, just have an anxiety attack because they can't control what's there. You can't. I was told
Yeah,
many
I've
years.
worked with a lot of people that they've had traumatic events happen to them, so they try to control everything that's either in their work environment, their home environment, And I'll just be perfectly honest with you. One of the things I tell people when I used to go into a scene where I had to do psychological first aid, and there was a tragedy that happened. Our view of control, or our ability to control things, is an illusion anyway.
Yeah.
And I would give people an example, especially if you live in a place like San Antonio, driving to work every day. You should know you're not in control. There's 7 to 8 major accidents a day, sometimes in San Antonio. It's a blessing that you make it to work or home every day. But we get used to doing that. We used to making it home, and we see some crazy stuff. All people almost cutting you off, furniture in the highway, stuff in the highway that shouldn't be there. I remember what it was like driving to San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got all these crime situations and active shoot. Look, it's no secret that we're not in control, but we have to feel like it's like a delusional mindset that we have this illusionary control. That's why we have to be thankful for the present, because it's a gift. The present is a gift, and we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So God has already kind of given us the template, so to speak, of saying, look, stop worrying about everything because I'm in control of everything anyway. So that's for those folks that have a faith background. If you have no faith background, it's a little more difficult to express this point of peace and tranquility. But some people say the universe has a purpose and a will, that they don't want to acknowledge God, and I understand what they want to say. So what I say is, what can you do about tomorrow?
Yeah.
You can't worry about it, so you control the controllables, and you have to let the rest work its way out. You've made it thus far. And how did you make it thus far? You control the controllables. If you're tired during the next day, get some more sleep tonight. If you are having issues with, with certain people. At home, think about, well, what did I say? How could I avoid this situation tomorrow? So you control the things you can control. If you feel bad after you watch the news every day, then guess what? Don't watch the news every day. If you've got people that are draining your energy every day, don't talk to them every day. you know, one of the things that I talk about is common sense. And common sense is not common, and even when you're in a mindset. There's another article on here I wanted to talk about. I was going to say that for another week, but it talks about how rudeness messes with your head. This was actually an article that was here by Dr. Susan Cross Witherborn, I'm sorry. It says that when you're around rude and obnoxious people, you cannot focus and you can't think the way you normally would. It causes you to anchor, meaning that you narrow the things down that you can focus on, and the other things you normally would think about and focus on, you can't process that. Because so what you do is you become more critical of what you're doing so that you don't have to hear, just be honest, so you don't have to hear that person's mouth.
Yeah.
Or that person's attitude. So you become hyper focused. Now you can kind of see how some people become control freaks because they've been around people that were highly critical or abusive or whatever. So they get used to narrowing their view down to just this. Whereas they need to get the full picture, but they can't because they're under attack. So when you're under attack, what do? You focus yourself. And then you try to execute on the things you can control, and and that's it. So you really have to be careful who you allow in your circle, allow around you, the energy that you're around. When you got people that are nasty, mean, and for no reason, let them move on over to the left.
So is it safe to say I done it? I'm not gonna lie to you. You know me, Joseph. I'm just gonna say it. I was around people like that, and as they's talking, and I said, "So what are you really trying to say?" And then they get stumped. What you mean? Have you been listening? I said, "No, because what you were saying didn't make any sense. So what are you trying to say?" And then they turn around and they try to, but then they get caught up in their own rhetoric that they don't even know what they're saying. So I question them. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to tell me? I'm not going to help them out and tell them this is what you're trying to say. I want to hear it from you. What you trying to say? And when you talk to people like that, they sort of stop and they start thinking for once, and then they turn around. 9 times out of 10, I guarantee they turn around and walk away and won't talk to you the rest of the day, or may not talk to you ever again because you sat there, held them accountable for what they're saying, and then I said, well, I can't come spread that rhetoric over you because you're not going to put up with it. Exactly.
Yeah. One of the things you do with people that are, and this is how to deal with rude people. I think Thomas Henderson, he's one of the life coaches that teach people on our team how to deal with difficult folks. But what you do is, you do the opposite of what they expect. That throws them off because a lot of times rude people, they're coming at you because they want to see a particular behavior. They want to see you elevate in your anger or your frustration or whatever you do. So when you stop and have presence of mind to ask them to clarify themselves, you busted them.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to. The first time, if you don't bite, then they've got to try it again. So they've already lost. So they'll change it. You say, okay, well, what did you mean by that? Well, you know what I mean by that, no? I need help me understand what you mean.
Yeah.
And then they have to process and try to come at you a different way, and they're going to get frustrated. Sound like some politicians, right? So that's their main go-to is to try to frustrate you and get you upset. So, one of the things I tell people to do, when you got a difficult person you're dealing with, just smile. It actually is pretty scary. When they're trying to make you mad, you just smile. They're like, wait a minute, that's not the energy. And you say, you know what? I understand. Well, what do you understand? What do you think I understand? Oh, you being a smart. No, I mean, you told me, you want to know what I understand. So what do you think I said? The whole part is you try to get them to repeat what they're trying to get you to do so that it becomes obvious to them that you know what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then it's not fun anymore. And especially if you have an audience of people, right? Because surely if 2 or 3 other people are paying attention to what's going on, they're not going to want to have their technique exposed because it's not much of a technique anyway. It's bullying, it's sharpshooting, it's gaslighting, and that has a very limited table life. It's very, very limited.
Yes.
It's like it's a jab, and if you knuckle up, they're like, hey, I just jabbed and he's ready to fight.
And that's what they're waiting on.
Yeah. So you ever have somebody? I'll tell you, I watch this time and time again. I watch people kind of jump, and when a person doesn't jump, that's the person you don't want to mess with because he's already sized up. The fact that you don't have no smoke for me. I can handle what you hit me with, but I know that I'm in control of this situation, and that'll make somebody walk up off you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not saying back down. I'm saying stand up and just don't respond the way, they expect you to. So dealing with bullies, dealing with folks that are rude or people that, are trying to take advantage of you, just do something different. And always I don't say we'll take the high road, but I just say fight differently. Don't go the ignorant route because that's what some people expect for you to do. So we had a situation with my wife where she had somebody came at her inappropriately at one point a while back. And I said, oh, okay, well, let's document what's going on. And then we're going to send a letter to the right people.
Yeah. Okay.
Put it like that. And then the right people asked her about all these incidents. Oh, wow. She actually documented all these takes, times, conversations, things that were said. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People don't like that.
It's not what they expect.
Exactly.
And then they have to change their behavior, right? So, you always have options. You always have things that you can do. And that's even from a employment standpoint, a relationship standpoint. People don't like to see their mess. Write it down and then bring it back to them. Well, I don't want to see that. I bet you don't. I bet you don't want to see it. But that's what I have to see,
Yeah, just speak of what you just said. I've been a supervisor for 45 years, and what I learned in them 45 years that each of my texts have a folder.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's something bad or good, I put it in that folder. So when it comes up the time for disciplining them, give them a promotion, I have everything right there written down. And one said exact same thing. Well, Mr. Gordon, you write down everything? I said, yes, I do. I said, it's 32 of y'all. I write down everything. So if something come up, then here it is right here. So I need to be careful around you? No. You need to just be yourself and do your work. That's all. You ain't got to be careful around me. How many people that this may be off base a little bit, but how many people if the head honcho is coming down, everybody run around like the head's cut off to get things in place? I turn around and say, well, how come you're not doing? I said, I'm doing everything right. I said, I'm not running around trying to do things, all that. If they come and see, because I told them, they're going to find something that you could tweak up, even though they're going to find something. Because everybody's not going to get 100% on anything. So I said, so why run around? If you did your job Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, you shouldn't have to BS your big boss coming in like, well, I did, and you haven't done anything. I said, I just do it work. I said, if they want to criticize me, fine. I'll learn and grow from that.
That is 100% the saying. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
You know, in the military, when you knew an inspection is coming, you know, and I'm giving some secrets out, and they know that you're doing. I remember, and I think it was basic training, we kept a set of Class A's already perfect, and then we had our duffel bag. As long as our duffel bag was off to the back and closed up, they didn't care what was in it. So we just bought us a couple pair of Class A's and kept one perfect, threw the ones in the bag and took them to the cleaners, you know, and kept it cycled. So you just learn to stay ready. Then you see the fools, well, I don't say fools, but you saw people that didn't figure that out. So they were trying to get their Class A's ready and, you know, all that. Man, no, you figure things out. And if you know it's coming, you know, stay ready.
Yeah.
And then that's one less thing you got to worry about. But, you know, again, that's common sense. That's learning through patterns and behavior. But see, some people, if you bounce around from job to job, you never learn the pattern. You just constantly learn, okay, well, I'm gonna mess up bad enough and I got to find something else. Then I mess up bad enough and I got to find something else. You don't take time to develop that skill set in a particular area and listen, especially if you don't take instruction well, right? So that's where we got a lot of youth that they've got to get that discipline and be able to get some instruction from older folks. And when I see that, I know that the child is going to be successful. Yeah. Because that's how life is. You're not going to do things perfect, but you've got to be able to receive criticism and go, okay, I got to work on this.
Right.
I got to improve this. But some folks, you know, you criticize them and they just collapse.
I know. Let's come on
Yeah.
down. Mr. Washington made a comment that we were talking about. He said, only thing guaranteed was yesterday. And then the other comment was just ice them.
Yeah, that's an old. Yeah, Craig is bringing up some old stuff, man. So yeah, ICE actually, you can't do that now because that's considered bullying and ostracization. But so you know, that's for a whole other show. But you know, Craig is cutting up right now with that. But I see something. So okay, somebody's talking. I think that's French.
I don't know what language that is.
I don't know what language that is either.
I can see the 7 in there and other numbers. Look like a phone number to call.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna let you handle that one. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, you know, we got Craig on there now, so get ready, man. Church Hurt will be coming back up again here soon. We'll be getting some of the other therapists and life coaches on here soon as well. So we're kind of everybody, you know, is giving me their topics they want to talk about. So we'll be bringing the Impact team on individually and as a group at some point with all these topics. So we're gonna be pretty busy, man. So I just want to get this out to everybody. If you have a particular area or a subject that you want us to talk about, you know, send that in. So we got about 20,000 listeners through the multiple platforms. We should have at least 5 or 6 topics that people want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Because me and Ryan, we can talk for a whole hour. But you know, I just thought that we should talk about you know, this authentic self in the world of fake social media and and oh man, I hate that I got to talk about this because let me just say this: Will Smith is one of my favorite actors. I think we just got to listening to his book, me and my wife, and just his story is amazing. But it just came out that Jada had added another twist to the story
Yeah.
that they had been fooling everybody since 2016.
Then why
You
did he get
know,
up and slap if they were? My
well,
question was,
and that's so. My point about that is even when you're watching these couples and these things that you think you may not. You're only getting part of the story. I mean,
yeah,
eh, we we grew up. I grew up listening to Will Smith since parents just
don't
don't
understand.
understand and
Yeah,
Fresh Prince and all that. And I've watched the evolution to I Am Legend and still one of my favorite actors. But and I said this and some people were like, oh, it's Hollywood and all that. No, I had started hearing a little bit about his book and reading certain excerpts and things of that nature. And I was sitting there. Actually, we were out at karaoke and I saw I watched it on. I was watching it on TV. Somebody was singing. I wasn't really paying attention to what they were doing, and I saw Will Smith go up there. I saw him slap Chris, and I saw him go back. And like everybody else, I thought it was a skit at first when he
yeah,
walked up. I knew when he sat back down that wasn't a skit. And I told Glenn, I said, Glenn, this is real. He really slapped Chris a second. And I was waiting for the police to come. I'll be honest.
yeah,
I was like, they're gonna go to commercial and then Will Smith ain't gonna be on the next scene. I thought that's what was gonna happen. But Will Smith was on the next scene, so I was perplexed because I knew what I just saw. And what I saw was a man who snapped. He tried to ha it off, and he looked over at Jada and saw that even with all the stuff that he had went through, that he snapped. So if you want to know what fake and real looks like, that's a perfect example of it. They had been faking. Even Jada didn't know that she was really considered his wife. But like she said, and I think it was pretty interesting, she said, I didn't come near his wife, but I left his wife.
mm,
So think about that.
yeah,
Now, I'm not saying that is the correct way to be in a marriage, but what I will tell you is you better be careful messing with somebody's wife.
yeah,
At any,
right,
I don't care what you might think about their relationship. If that man walked down that aisle with her at any point, I think there's a scripture that says, let no man come between. Greg, help me out.
yeah,
Let no man come between, uh, uh, you know, uh, a union that God brings together. And then, Craig Washington and I'll talk about Steve Harvey, man. I don't even know if I want to bring that up, man. I ain't, listen, if you're not a therapist and trained in helping people's relationships and using some proven methods, stay out of people's business. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of people thought that was horrible, what Will did, and yeah, it was pretty bad. But I would much rather him do that than him sit back in that chair and go, okay, yeah, all right.
I'll catch you outside. No, I'm gonna
Or,
bring. I want to
or,
bring up.
or, or worse yet, he make a couple phone calls.
Yeah,
Somebody with a couple $100 million at his disposal, uh, you know,
yeah,
it's unstable. I don't know. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Bad things could happen.
Right. See, I want to bring up one point. It was this play here in San Antonio. I'm gonna name Bobby McMorris.
Hmm.
He said how divorce saved my wedding. I mean my marriage. I'm sorry. How divorce saved my marriage. And I was at because I had him on the show. I was asking him how did he said there'd be a message after that, and the message I got was they were not communicating, they were not talking, and when the paper came in about divorce, they had to sit down and talk about everything. They fell in love all over again because now communication was open up for them to talk, and I thought that was a very nice title. How divorce saved my marriage. I said, how is that possible?
It
He,
is 100.
Yeah.
It is 150% possible. Not even 100%, 150%. I'm gonna tell you, one of the secrets of counseling is if you can just get folks to communicate and talk honestly, openly, without all the anger and not talking at each other, but talking to each other.
Hmm.
What you'll find is, the other person is hurting. And I think some of that is even coming out in that saga that we just got through talking about with Will and Jada. But and I think Craig just put the scripture out there,
Yeah.
Matthew 19:6. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. Well, therefore God have joined together, let no man put asunder. So basically, uh, keep your mouth shut and don't mess around with another man. It's look, as crazy as that situation is, uh, you better leave them alone
Yeah.
because it's obvious they have love for each other and God can work that thing out. But I think part of the problem is from a spiritual counseling standpoint. I think as long as man tries to dictate the relationship that God has ordained a certain way, you're always
Hmm.
going to have problems.
Exactly.
See, there are principles to marriage, and those aren't set by man. Man and woman, and when I say man, I'm talking about man and woman. And I think that when you get so much money and so much influence, you think, well, I can do whatever I want to do. But the principles that God set forth, you can't go against. It doesn't matter how much money you have, because you could be. I think they've shown you can have as much money as you want and still be miserable.
Mm.
You get used to it,
Yep.
right? I love where I'm living right now. It's beautiful. Ocean is right there where I can see it, but you kind of get used to this beauty. I still love it. I still enjoy what I'm looking at. But the reality is, if I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I remember the first day I walked in there and I was like, wow. I'm still like, wow, but I'm not like, wow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in time, things change. You get used to something, but the one thing that doesn't change is God's will and His word. So you can look at it other ways, but I think if you look at it and think about it, part of the problem that Hollywood is having is they're trying to apply the world's view to God's principles, and it's never going to work that way.
No, it's
There's
not.
always going to be God's principle runs the world because that's how it's set up,
Yeah.
and God's order is perfect, so it's not going to change His order because you don't like it. So
that
call
is
in
true.
if you don't like that, and I will be more than happy to show you biblical scriptures, and Craig Washington will be more than happy to show you the scriptures that I'm trying to say that I have just memorized and applied. But
Yeah.
we'll read and we'll give you the whole verse and as well as the whole book, not just a
Yeah.
verse. Uh, you know, so. But that's it on that.
Yeah.
You had something you were gonna say or
No,
add.
I'm just sitting back absorbing all this because being out there in the public, I see a lot of stuff out there, and I'm trying to figure out why is this going on. I watched an accident the other day, and the guy who caused the accident had the audacity to come out charging the other driver, saying it was his fault. I see things that there was a time when we sat back and we talked about things that are going on. Now people just taking things into their own hands and just responding off pure emotion without no thought process whatsoever. And that'll get you
Mhm.
killed. I'm telling you, that'll get you killed. You're gonna walk across the wrong person that's not gonna put up with that, that's had a worse day than you did. And that's why we have these crazy shootings on the highway, because somebody cut somebody off. Is it worth it? And I sat back and actually watched all these people. Have you ever sat down at a mall or something? You just sat there and you just watch people going by and want to know what's going through their mind, or why they dress like that, or just little things you sit back and watch. And it boggles the mind on the way people think and the lack of, you said, common sense. Because I see some stuff that is crazy out there, Joseph. It's crazy.
You you don't have to tell me uh, what about that. But what I will tell you is, have you seen the music lately?
Yeah.
Have you seen the video?
Yeah.
Have you heard the conversations? Do you know what's going on with the youth right now? And what I can tell you is, it still goes back to social media, the illusionary world, the expectations that people have. And I'm gonna tell you something too. That fight or flight response is something else, right? Because when people get mad and they enter that fight or flight response, you're looking at a person that's truly not operating with their full mental capacity. So when a person gets mad and they come out and they're acting emotional, and they're in that fight or flight, your higher level reasoning is already shut down.
Yeah.
So when you get to a person that's already irate and acting out, there's really no rationalizing with that person. And unfortunately, if a person is already mentally ill and then he enters fight or flight, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
Problem. And people drive very aggressively in San Antonio. I need to pull that up and see how many road rage incidents have happened in San Antonio within the past couple of years. I think that'd be an interesting statistic to look at.
Yeah. I'm going to pull it up right now and see.
And then you can kind of work your way backwards and thinking about why is it that in a city the size of San Antonio that you're having so many incidents. Think about what you've seen and how people drive, and I think you'll find the correlation there is pretty clear.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's been quite a bit. They even broke it down with road rage shootings.
yeah, how many over the past year or two? Or what numbers do you have?
Let me get to that because they had little things in here. Here we go. Road rage. They're not really breaking down the numbers. I don't know why. Let me just put down this year and see what I come up with. Well, it's well over 50
Okay, well I'll tell you
for,
what.
for this year.
How many was it to this year?
Already seen a hundred road rage this year in San
100
Antonio.
road
100.
rage. So this is just from a quick, search that I just did while we were sitting here. How many road rage incidents in San Antonio, Texas? And from KSAT News, everybody knows about KSAT.
Yeah.
I always watch KSAT out there. It says Texas has more fatal road rage shootings than any other state. August 23rd, 2022. The numbers of people shot in road rage incidents totaled at least 522 in 2021.
Mm.
There it is.
Yeah.
You know what the gun laws are in Texas?
There's none.
You know what people drive like in Texas. And then even have a article, what's causing road rage in San Antonio, Ken 5, that was on July 9, 2023. So maybe we can take a look at that and talk about that. Road rage shootings are on the rise, with Texas among the worst. That's May 24th, 2023. In San Antonio, there were 10 incidents per 1,000 drivers. Those statistics just came out of the University of Texas that leads us to believe that things will get worse. Y'all come over to Japan. Don't do it. Don't come over to Japan.
Yeah,
no
pulling
road
that
rage.
stuff off.
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna tell you something. You don't want to go to jail in Japan. So that will, I guarantee you, the road rage incidents would drop if jail in San Antonio became like jail in Japan.
Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing, you do not want to go to jail in Japan. So
Yeah.
you know, if you like going to the bathroom in the toilet, that's not possible. You're gonna have a communal hole you got to go to. And I
Craig.
feel that too, but fish head soup is not really high on my diet.
Oh no.
So
Craig just mentioned. Um, I teach if you have anger issues, you don't need a gun. That's
that's right.
that's so true. You don't
Yeah,
need a gun
yeah,
for that.
yeah. Yeah, you're the wrong one to have a gun if you can't control your temper. Now, everybody gets mad, but if you can't control your temper and know how to walk away or break yourself down before you grab that firearm, uh,
Yeah,
you don't need to have one.
sure don't.
You
Sure
don't.
don't. That's crazy. I don't know. I'm just
So any
go ahead.
so any questions before we get up out of here? I know we're past our time, so
Yeah, nah, we'll
we've
save
already
everything
covered our
for.
issue.
No, but there's really not much, but I do want to let everybody know that we're live on YouTube now. So that's another blessing. We got that taken care of, and I turned around and got the radio station signed up for over 200 platforms. Some of them I can go
Yes.
live on, some I can't. I got to make little reels to put on there. So we're gonna make sure we get the word out with the Impact Hour, and being live on 3 platforms right now, working on 6. Should have that, and like you said, every week we get new listeners and everything. I think that one lady, I think I told you about her. She about 6 months ago, she turned around and said, "That is so exciting what y'all talking about. I'm gonna stay tuned into this," and she still watches all the time.
Yeah, outstanding.
You
So shout
know,
out to her and all our listeners worldwide, for those places that haven't banned us,
yeah,
maybe switch over to some of the other platforms or whatever. But we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. But if you question anything that we bring up, most of the stuff that we talk about, all the stuff we talk about,
yeah,
is we can back up. So hey, we welcome any uh, conversations and we welcome any discourse that you might have with anything we say because listen, we got to talk about it,
right,
and not we where we stand on a lot of things. You can go back to over a year's worth of tapes and kind of see, and if you want to challenge anything, a lot of the things we talked about have already come to fruition. Nobody thought that old 45 was going to get charged. We said that was going to happen.
yeah,
We said he's going to be incarcerated. I think we see it. But we're not going to keep talking about it. You can cut on the news and get your bullets and updates and
get
all that type of
everything.
stuff.
That's right.
You know, I'm not going to talk about what happened today. You can go on the news and just briefly look at it and then move on. We got to focus on other things. And I think we need to start the season of, of self care.
Yeah,
We've been through a lot and we're going through a lot. So take some time out, just like the article said, do self care, pull away from social media, pull away from things, get those apps like Calm, go to YouTube, listen to some meditation stuff, and just kind of spend some time with yourself,
yeah,
relaxing, and getting some rest, drinking water. That's what I'm drinking in here. Can't see the cup. That's kind of cool.
oh,
Yeah, drinking water.
yeah.
You know,
Mine's
uh,
empty. Oh, I got an
you
invisible
gotta go
bottle.
fill that up, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, go fill that up. Get you some water, and stay hydrated. Get you some rest. Eat. Your diet is very important as well. People don't believe that, but what you eat really does make a difference in terms of, your how you feel about yourself, your health. I've started working out a little bit more, trying to get my weight to where I want it, and believe it or not, you start to feel better. Those are the things that if I'm in depression, I'm telling you, one of my treatments for depression is to get people physically active. If you can swim, I have people get a gym membership and swim laps.
yeah,
Believe it or not. And that's one of my most effective treatment techniques for depression. Why? Because you can't think of anything else while you're swimming than swimming.
yeah,
You can, but it doesn't usually work out too well. The other thing is, it's something calming about that, and then it's also a good workout. So, people start shedding pounds, they start feeling good about themselves. There's some chemical things that happen, those endorphins start firing up. So, get you a gym
Right.
membership to the Y. And, then when you go to the Y, you see they got little cooking classes and other programs and things you can get into. So you change your life cycle, change your process. What you don't want to do is just sit around watching series or TV series after TV series, isolating yourself more and more, eating those Haagen-Dazs and different cakes and all that type of stuff. It's going to go the wrong way, right? So get out there, walk, sit up, exercise. You'll start feeling better about yourself, and you start doing better, right? So
Amen
that's
to
what you
that.
can do. Everybody can do something. Yeah, I don't care if it's just stretching. Start with that. Do some core exercises. Look up plank. Try to do a plank for 30 seconds. Then maybe go up to a minute, whatever.
Yeah.
Do something to kind of keep moving. That will help you get out of that. But that's my mental health tip, dealing with depression, and get off that media, that social media. Spend some time with yourself this week.
Amen to that, brother. All
All
right.
right.
Another day.
So shout out. Hey, congratulations again, man. Community Legend Award. Definitely congratulations. Give love to everybody in San Antonio, to Grand Rapids, to Midwest. I talked to my dad, who was very proud of what we're doing and what I'm doing down here, over here in Japan. And, shout out to Larry. If you're listening, I'm sure I'm going to hear about you. I'm sure you're going to call me tomorrow. And who else is on here? Well, miss anybody? Whoever this guy is, our listener, Ogan Marilie. I'm sorry, I can't understand, man, but we got to get that translated and see what he's talking about.
Well,
I'm gonna let you do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna translate. As soon as I find out languages, I'll translate it and see exactly what it is. So
Okay.
yeah.
And if he's saying something crazy, man, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do about that. But
Yeah.
But for sure, oh, he's asking for money. Somebody said he was asking for money. Who said that? Oh, Craig. You don't know if
Yeah.
he's asking. Did you translate it, Craig? Man, I'm telling you.
He probably
That's-
did. He probably
Yeah.
did. So
Asking for money? Yeah. Hey, wait for it. No, just let me. Hey, let me get out of here. All right.
All right. Peace. We'll talk
Peace.
to you later.
Hey, your actions speak so loudly, we can't hear a word you're saying. So that's it.
All right,
Wow,
bro.
that's crazy. He asking for money, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Till next week. Peace.
Next week. Yeah, peace.
All right.
Recording stopped.
All right, everybody. That was Joseph Lee from Impact Counseling and Consulting Services here. He's over in Japan now. He'll be over there. I don't know when he's coming home. He said he don't want to come home. I don't know. But we'll